Hey YouTube, hope you're all keeping well out there. I've recently seen a video on the tubes by RollerXCore. It was probably last week actually, to tell the truth. And it was a video response. There's a lot of video response videos going around at the moment, but this one intrigued me. And it was for the his 10 favourite video game box arts. And I believe he did this in response to a chap called The Beach Gamer. And what I'll do is I'll leave both of their videos down in the description below, so please go and check those out. And yeah, this one really appealed to me, so I thought it was going to be easy, and in a way it is easy, but most of these are for old generation of computers and console systems. I just think with game art, similar to maybe movie poster art, the artistry of this medium is kind of lost now. I'm not to say that, you know, all modern game covers are rubbish by any means, but the artistry was there, I think, in the early days, and you would obviously tell more of a story, I guess, with the cover to convey what the game was about, because maybe the graphics fidelity, certainly with some of these games here, wasn't of a high enough standard, and it would just allow you as the purchaser of the game to sort of, you know, visualize in your mind's eyes to what the game was supposed to be like. Sometimes that was a load of BS and the game was just plain old-fashioned shite, but there's a few exceptions to the rule. And again, I'm not saying that all modern games artwork covers are bad, but the creativity is kind of lost, I think. Most tend to be quite sort of generic-y kind of Photoshop compositions, and yeah, they've just lost that kind of creative spark, really. So anyway, I'm going to start with my first game, and it's for the ZX Spectrum, and it's Set Willie. Now I think this game art cover really typifies what was going on in the world, if you will, or certainly in England back in the day. And it's got this lovely punk quality to it, obviously, with the graffiti art and the illustration and lots of toilet humour, and, you know, it looks quite crass. Some guy sticking his head down the toilet with some cheap bottle of bubbly there. Yeah, just a crazy cover. And I always remember seeing this and just thinking it looked really kind of edgy, rebellious and punk. And back then, obviously, punk, or at least post-punk, was strong, and the punk idea is that, you know, we'll do things ourselves, or, you know, anyone can do it, and especially with video game creation back in those days, there was loads of bedroom coders, you know, spotty little kids and creatives and school kids that were just putting all these great games together and had that sort of punky sort of attitude there, very do-it-yourself, if you will. So it's that one. I think it's very synonymous for the early part of the 80s, and like I said, what was going on in the country at that time. And the next game I'm going to go for is R-Type. Now granted, this has so much more clout than the standard cassette cover did, obviously due to its size and its landscape format, but I just think the artwork on that is fantastic. I've probably talked about this boss, which is just synonymous with R-Type in many other videos. Just love the cover, and really encapsulates the game and fills in all those little blanks where the Spectrum graphics just didn't quite shine, as in giving it colour and detail. Next is again for the Spectrum, and it's Renegade. Now I'm going to put a bigger picture up there because I own the game, but it's on this compilation which I used to own as a kid. And I used to love that cover. It's just so badass. Street punks getting their heads kicked in with bats. Love the composition there. Love the sort of graffiti style typography. Bob Wakelin, what a legendary artist he was. Brilliant game and brilliant artwork. Another one for the Spectrum, and I remember seeing this on eBay, and I remember it back in the day, but I remember seeing it on eBay and thought, I've got to have you. And I think the game's supposed to be quite good as well. But it's Batman, the Cape Crusader. Again, another Bob Wakelin creation. And I just absolutely love that. The colour in it, the action, the layering there, the composition, the detail. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. We're going to jump a generation now and go on to the SNES, Super Nintendo and Super Famicom. And this is a Super Famicom game. And it's for Bonk 2. Look at the detail in that. Lovely little illustrations, kind of a cel-shaded look to it. Don't think Bonk come out in this country for PAL on the SNES. And again, you know, 9 times out of 10, the Japanese covers were so much better than the PAL and NTSC American covers. But the colour in that just says to me, this game is fun. Love it. And I'm a huge fan of the graphic writing, character style, their actual language, their font, their type. It's very graphic looking, a bit like hieroglyphs and Islamic text I really like and things like that. But yeah, fantastic cover, that one. Sticking with the Super Famicom is Gradius 3. I just love the colour in that though. The green at the top there, the blue and the reds and the oranges merging in there. And I love the composition and that diagonal ship shooting out with the lasers. Yeah, that looks absolutely badass. Again, another example of a fantastic Japanese cover. Right, this is PAL, and it's Super Metroid. Now this game, I spoke about this in my Super Nintendo collection video. This game was very, very costly. And as a lad, you know, I saw this and thought, oh, the parents aren't going to pay for this one. I think it was like £70 even back then. But I remember looking at the box art and that illustration in the magazine with accompanied by the amazing review that it got in this magazine and just being blown away. I love the fact that Samus, who we now know is female, spoiler, is just sort of running away from, it's Ridley, isn't it, this one? Yeah, it is Ridley. And just sort of trying to escape it. Looks like she's in a lot of danger. And I always thought, what the hell is this thing? Well, you can just see his feet, the claws there, and his belly there, which I believe turns out to be, you know, the final or penultimate boss. But yeah, that cover just like so action-packed and just made me really want to get the game, and upset me even more knowing that I was probably never going to get the game until obviously many years later when I become a collector. Super Nintendo again. Now this, when I thought of this topic, this is the first one that pops into my mind. The Secret of Mana. I just remember looking at that cover and just thinking, wow. And being an RPG, you just really thought about these characters here looking out into this huge, lush world about to set off on their adventure, and it just sort of sparked the imagination. It's just a shame with a lot of the PAL UK boxes that we just had this kind of like border there around, where I think that illustration, if it was covering the entire box, would just be absolutely epic. So there's that one, and that's the last of the Super Nintendo. I've only got 2 more. Now, I'm going to show you this one, and this one popped into my mind kind of second behind Secret of Mana. And the cover now is just very blah and sort of looks very photoshopped. But at the time, it was in, what was this, 95, 96? No, a bit later, 97, 98. So yeah, I was doing my graphic design course at college, and I was doing projects on black and white and negative space and stuff like that. And still very much into my video games, but I had a Nintendo 64 back then. But this came out for the PlayStation, and the advert, which I'm going to put up here, I just love the advert. I'll just show you the game now. It's Driver. Now I love the black and white sort of interplay there. Looks a bit blah, but the video, the trailer for this game was excellent. And it had that lovely, I'm a huge Steve McQueen fan and I love Bullet. It had that sort of early 70s you know, muscle car racing around San Francisco, being chased by cops, turning around, doing sharp turns around corners, and hubcaps flying off. It just conjured up all of that, and I was just like, man, that game looks absolutely awesome. And in the video, the trailer, the guy sort of turns to the side and then makes up this silhouette, and then it goes to this freeze frame of the cover of the actual game itself. And that for me is probably what I remember more so than the cover itself, but it's just the memory and the emotions it conjures up. And yeah, I absolutely loved Drive when it came out. I had to borrow the PlayStation off my friend, and I think I remember actually buying Driver because he never owned it, just so I could play it on his PlayStation. Right, this is for the PlayStation 4, and it is about the artwork. It's not the package itself, but it's No Man's Sky, and I just think it's a beautiful illustration. I love the typography there, very contemporary. And I'm just a sucker for that colour, that sort of teal, sea, aqua, petrol colour. Love it. And the illustration's glorious there. And it just, yeah, I still haven't played this, and I'm really keen to play it in VR and go off through space and land on obscure planets and mine and all that sort of business. It just looks really sci-fi and fantasy based. And, you know, I think it kind of harkens back to the glory days of the earlier generation of games and consoles and their accompanying game art. I just really love that cover. It's really striking. So anyway, that's my 10th one. Thank you very much, guys. Please leave a comment below, and hope you're all well out there. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you again.